Well, good day, everyone. I am here with Kris Brunsgaard, Adroit Technologies. I haven't been in this building since the world turned upside down. Kris just moved in, and I think they had staff in here for 14 days, so they've tripled or quadrupled in office size, and now it's a virtually empty building, so you might be in tech, but you're like everyone else here in Kamloops, Canada, or the world right now.
Yeah, we moved in here March 1st, and then 14 days later we packed up everybody and moved them back home. So it's been a very nice storage locker for the last couple months.
Now, for a tech company, Kris's first few weeks of the pandemic, your staff was out working like crazy. You were supplying hardware and everything that people needed to be able to work in their homes. And for the first few weeks, we didn't get a chance to chat or do anything. Has that wave pretty much passed now?
It's definitely slowed down for sure. Like we're still finding just the odd person still needs to work from home and what have you. But yeah, the first couple of weeks was getting everybody organized, getting them all working from home, making sure that everything we're getting set up to work from home was secure, that everyone had access to what they need, and sold just about all of our hardware that we had lying around here, and lots and lots of setup for VPNs and phones, and anything we could do to make having their office be available at home to a large extent.
Yeah, Kris, your staff are working from home as well.
Yeah.
Do you see them still in there for the next while? I know there's a lot of talk now about what opening up is going to look like. Is that going to change much for you right now, or are people just going to continue doing what they need to do where they are or where they're feeling safe?
We're all pretty comfortable being at home right now. I haven't had any discussion with them yet, just because everything kind of just happened in terms of starting to ease up on certain things. We have our individual offices. We can practice, physical distancing fairly well here without too much trouble. But it's also going to be what's comfortable for them. I don't need them to come here to get a lot of their jobs done. But I like having that team environment, so it might be a little while longer before I fully have that back, though.
So, yeah. We're in our new normal right now,
yeah.
Which surprisingly we're starting to adapt to it and adjust. There's probably going to be now another wave of, I'm going to call it new business models that are going to come our way.
Yeah.
You can already see what's going around. People are looking at different ways that they can serve and help people in this new environment. I mean, retail is certainly going to be changing around. We're seeing a lot of steps within it. Restaurant industry is, and most goods that are being sold or needing to be purchased by a consumer are going to have some kind of an e-component of it moving along. If you were a new business person looking and going to invest and get going on something, maybe something like a delivery service or a retail operation that is going to be more focused on an e-business, with what you know and some of the learnings through COVID, what are some recommendations or steps that a person may do if they're considering opening a new business in this environment?
Well, initially it would be to determine if they even need to have a physical space. The e-commerce side of things, there's a lot of opportunities around drop shipping. Do you need to have that product directly there? Also, what can you do if you can't be in a physical space? How can you be set up? Where does your phone ring? How can we make phone calls go to you directly or transfer to other people, other ones of your staff? How does your staff communicate with their customers? Is it purely online? Is it through phone? Do we doing chat? What are the different steps there? There's a lot of things that where the world has gone in terms of e-commerce and technology right now that we just got a really big push through COVID that forced us to make a bunch of changes very quickly in terms of the benefit of everyone. But a lot of those could happen right away, and they can happen again in the future. And as long as we're set up to adapt to that, then there shouldn't be a problem. For retailers, it's a little tougher because sometimes they need to have that product physically there, so they need to have a space to do it. But selling online is setting up an e-commerce website, being able to take payments, and just able to have those support channels that people can reach out to them and still get a hold of them in an effective manner, even if they are working at home.
Now, Kris, for businesses, from a security point of view, I know we all did whatever we had to get going. What are some of the areas that, now that you're maybe off the company network, that companies may need to address if they're looking at this as being a longer term fix where we thought it was a 2-week holiday when we were heading off. It kind of sounded like we're going to leave and we're going to come back. Now that there's going to be employees, from this point forward that are probably going to choose to work at home maybe all the time or part of the time. What are areas for larger businesses with greater size networks that they need to look at from a security point of view to make sure their information is being backed up and that they're as safe on their network as it would be in their physical building, same as if they're home?
So absolutely. So and backup is the number one thing. So now that we have the ability for data to be coming outside of the company network, we need to control the company network. We need to control the devices that the network is connected onto. And that network, once it leaves the company network, it's usually done by a VPN or we're remote desktoping into the company network. Both of them have their pros and cons to them. When there's data leaving the company network, you can't fully control people's personal computers. That's their choice. And as a business, if you want to have control over what is being connected to your network, you need to be providing the hardware. So if somebody's connecting from home and they want to have access to the corporate data, they need to be provided a laptop or a computer that they're using to work at home in order to make that connection with. And that way the IT company like ourselves, we can control the software and the security that's happening on that computer and how it connects. If we start opening that too much up to personal computers, people are going to be more resistant to having companies accessing their personal computers and being able to manipulate things like that, like antivirus and such that, right?
So best practice is if you're working at home, it should be the company's computer that you have, which is separate from your own.
Yeah.
Does this also apply to smartphones?
It can. The BYOD, which is bring your own device. There's a lot of software out there now where you can actually ask the employee to, if they want to use their own device for work, that they install this piece of software, and all it does is it creates a little secure jail that all the company related information and software and everything like that only exists inside of that jail. We can't see or touch or do anything else with the phone, except for if that employee was to leave the company, we could just delete that jail and it would just remove it from their phone automatically, and it has, but we can't see any personal information on it. So it does fall in the same realm. Phone devices are a little bit different. They're a little bit more restricted in what they can access and what you're doing with them generally. Whereas a laptop, you have pretty good access to the entire network and server and files. If they're not doing it through a VPN, if they're doing it through file syncs or shares or anything like that, making sure that we have the backups of all those files, that there's revision control happening on it. That's probably the biggest part there. Is not a lot for the backup changes depending on how they're connecting, but we just need to be conscious that the devices that are in the home are really the key point on all of this.
Okay.
Because we need to be able to control that endpoint, otherwise you don't know what's happening on it.
We're doing this on video, of course, because we're able to capture a conversation better. I know we're seeing more video all the time. When I go through the Facebook feed or go through LinkedIn feed, there's more and more of that rich content going on. Any keys or tricks to keep making sure that your website isn't getting bogged down by the videos that you're putting on it, so that you're still getting a good load time so consumer stays on instead of bouncing off?
Absolutely. So the number one thing on that is to make sure you're using a video service that's actually embedding the video into your website. So such as YouTube or Vimeo, for example. Each one of those have their strengths and weaknesses. But if you're leaving the video on the website directly, well, you're not taking any advantage of the fact that you could have a YouTube channel which has more information on it. You could be getting searches and hits through YouTube directly, which then even drive back to your own website. Utilize the bandwidth of a giant company like YouTube to load those videos very fast and effectively, and then that'll keep your website nice and responsive. If you're needing to do things like to make sure that your video, for example, YouTube, you can embed videos from any YouTube video onto any website just about. There's some restrictions with that, but Vimeo actually checks the domain name as to what's loading that video, and if it's not your video, your domain name, then it won't actually load it. So videos get a little bit more security on that end of things. So if you're doing things like online courses or stuff like that, it's a little harder to do it on YouTube than it is on Vimeo. But use a video service. Otherwise, the person browsing your website has to download that whole video in order to play it. It can be very, very slow. Videos tend to be pretty high resolution and pretty big files these days, even with our fast internet.
With kids that are doing education online right now at the university, no bandwidth is taxed for a lot of us, so that's good to know. Keep safe, and hopefully you'll have more people working out of your office at some point. We don't know what that point is,
Yep.
but I know you have space to allow people to work safely out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck with everything. We'll try and pop in person maybe a little more often now that we're starting to restrict things and we have enough distance in between ourselves to have a conversation. So
Absolutely.
thank you for your time, Kris.
Thank you.